Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be revisiting 5 older eyeshadow palettes that I've tried again this month and ask yourself the question, are these gems or are they junk? So welcome to everybody watching today. I hope you are here for eyeshadow palettes, essence and Catrice reviews, and getting the use out of your makeup because those are the things that I love to create videos on, and today's video is going to factor into that very nicely because it's eyeshadow palettes plus. I've reused these again. I decided to come up with this series so I can go back to some of the palettes that I've labeled favorites in the past that may not be necessarily things you can still buy, but that I hold very near and dear to my heart, and I just want to get some more use out of them. I've created looks for you that I will be inserting into this video as well, but I did already review these in the past, so I'll make sure to link to any content I've already created with these in the description box down below so you can have the full lowdown of all of my thoughts. And in case you're new here, it may be good to know that I have fair skin with a cool neutral undertone, which greatly skews my makeup preferences. And because I have been buying, trying, and reviewing makeup for more than a decade, I definitely know what I like, and I have some very strong preferences there as well. So if you would like to join the Snow Angel Club, all you need to do is click subscribe down below. Let's get to this video. So yeah, 5 eyeshadow palettes that I've tried again after having labeled these as favorites for some time, but there is one, which is what's on my eyes today, which is actually not an existing palette. You cannot buy this. The first thing I want to share with you is my Off Quartz by Colourpop, which is no longer the Off Quartz by Colourpop. I actually use this palette to repress some Juvia's Play shadows into. I did that in a video that I posted this springtime, so I'll make sure to link that down below as well if you want to see how I do this. And one of the shades in this palette didn't really survive the repressing process, as in the only matte I decided to put in here has started to crack ever since I repressed it, probably because of the alcohol changing the formula a little bit. So I just wanted to see whether I could still make this work and whether the matte that I put in here is just a crumbly mess and it's not going to do anything, or if it actually still works. So as you can see, I've got some lovely purpley shades in here. It's a nicely cool tone color stories, but it's actually 3 Juvia's Place palettes that we've got in here. I don't remember exactly which shade comes from what palette, but in that video, I'm pretty sure I do say that. But I know it features Royal Nubian, Magic, and Masquerade shades. So those are the things we've got going on here. And for the look that I'm wearing right now, I put the matte in the crease so you can see that actually this palette still works really well. I put this in the outer V, this on the lower lash line, this is also on the lower lash line. I popped this silver all over the lid, but then I topped it off with this. So that's that blue flash that you're getting. And then I also use this in the inner corner and this as a bit of liner. So the only 2 shades I didn't use are the 2 green tone shades, but I really like this. This is exactly the kind of purples that I like. They are a little bit more cool tone leaning, pulling a bit more blue without it being overly blue, and it's very, very pretty eyeshadow, I feel. So yeah, I just really like the way this color story came together. I think it works really, really well for me. It's exactly what I like in an eyeshadow, and this way I get to keep 9 of my favorite Juvia's Play shades without having to keep the really big bulky packaging around, because my Juvia's Place Masquerade and Magic were actually the larger size with the really big pans, and that just was a bit cumbersome to use. And with all 3 of those palettes, there were only like a few shades in every single one that I liked. So I figured, why not just keep the shades that I love? And when I combined them into one palette, it became a perfect color story as well. So what's not to love? So I'm very happy I've repressed this. I do think I want to see if I can revive that matte, maybe take the pen out again and sort of mix it with some Duraline. But if you have any tips on how I can get that matte to not crack and crumble as much, because that's why I'm not holding it up straight, because I'm afraid the shadow will fall out. I kind of need to keep this flat. So if you have any tips on how I can sort of salvage it, because it works fine. I can pick it up with a brush, it works, it blends, it does everything I need it to do, save for the fact that it's cracking all over the packaging. And we had some more cool tones in the selection this time round. I put in the Zoeva En Taupe, and you guys, I'm so sad. This is discontinued. You can no longer buy it. So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. In fact, I have at least another discontinued palette in here. But yeah, these are some of my favorites. And this is another one of those palettes that you can just look at and go like, really? That's gonna work for you? But I put this on my eyes the other day and I just felt so pretty in this. I mean, it's really not that deep. So that's, of course, one of the issues that a lot of people have with this. It's also quite grayish lilac leaning, meaning that unless you have a very cool undertone yourself, this is not going to show up nicely. I believe the look that I ended up doing, yeah, I used this like dusty lilac-y gray shade in the crease, and I believe I popped this all over the lid, but I topped it off with one of these two shimmers. I used this to deepen things up just a tad. So yeah, this is just a lovely one. There are a couple of warm tones though. I don't love this peachy pink. Not a huge fan of that. And I've never liked the shimmer in this particular shade either. But yeah, these shades, I mean, they just work really, really well and I love it. Some of their older palettes had a lot of duochromes in before duochromes were really a thing. So especially if you were to look at those, if you look at duochromes nowadays, they have a lot more flip than these have. They're a little bit more softer, a little bit more subtle, but that's why I think they work really well for like a great everyday look. I know not everybody likes like everyday makeup, but if you work in an environment where wearing a lot of makeup just isn't a thing, then something like this can just work really well. I haven't currently found anything that is like this at the moment. So unless you build it with singles, I don't think you're likely to find anything like this, because something this cool toned and light, that combination, is definitely something that hasn't been on the market for a while. Let's chat about the palette that you can still get. This is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. And this palette is one that I instantly knew, it's November, and this is just giving me November vibes. Now, when I first tried this palette, I really liked it. Again, it's not a very deep palette. These, if you block that, you can just see how light this actually is. And if you were to like sort of cover up these colorful shades, you can see that it's quite rosy and peachy toned. So it's got a little bit of cool, but it's also got the warmth, but it's very, very fair leaning overall. I think that what can throw people off with this one are those vibrant shades, because that can make you go like, will that really work? I'm not sure. When I first used it, I used this in 3 parts. These 6 shades, these 6 shades, and these 6 shades together. So one thing I still wanted to do when I was using this palette this time around is to see if I could mix and match some more things between like the different parts of the palette. I didn't really go into this part this time around, but I did use this in the crease. This ultraviolet shade is what's all over the lid. I believe I used both of these. And I think that like pinky shade as well. So I used quite a bit of these, like the more cool toned leaning shades with the purple. The result is, I think, something you could achieve with the Zoeva En Taupe as well, and possibly also the Repressed Juvia's Place shadows. I was really going for a very particular vibe this month with just a bit of a neutrally leaning base, but then that little bit more of a vibrant purple. So yeah, this, the look that I created with this palette, I did film as a short. In case you're unfamiliar, I have been posting shorts over on here as shorts, but also have been posting those as TikToks over on my TikTok account. You can find the link down below. And yeah, I want to keep the train rolling, and I seem to like different things do well, so I'm sort of still trying to figure out what does well and what doesn't. But this was a look I definitely wanted to film for you. So if you want to see like a basic look, but that has a nice bright pop of something that's very pretty, like a lot of these, a lot of the looks I did made me feel very pretty this month. So that's definitely something that this palette can offer you as well. And I'm really glad I got to try it again. I went back to one of my fall favorites, the Nomad from Juvia's Place. Is this still around? I'm not entirely sure. And this one, this was a bit of the outlier because this is a lot more warm toned, but I love the greens in here, and then that shade and that shade as well. And I decided to do like a bit of a halo eye with this. So this is another palette that I just haven't used in a while. And I remember when I sat down to film with, or like to do the look, I was like, what am I gonna do with this? Because these yellows, I'm not too overly keen on. Like one of these yellows could have been a different shade to me, because I feel it goes quite deep and very light, but we don't really get a mid-tone shimmer to really bridge the gap. So for me, this yellow could have been something else. But I did use this yellow to blend out this shade, which I popped in the crease. I think what I did was put these two on the lid for that little bit of the halo eye moment. And then I think I did use this on the lower lash line as well. So yeah, I love these shades. I thought it was a very pretty but very glam look. It was definitely a bit of a contrast between the other ones. But yeah, of the 5 palettes I've used here today, I really liked every single one of them, I'm not gonna lie. Like even that Juvia's Place Repressed palette, I was like, that's not gonna work. The matte is gonna crumble anywhere. It's no longer going to blend. I won't be able to build it. And then I'm able to pull this look out of it. So I like that as well. So yeah, they're favorites for a reason, and I've reminded myself of that again. Plus, the 5th palette, which you sadly cannot get anymore, is one that I did put, I filmed a short with this one as well. Because I was like, if there is a palette that can give you like a cool toned, really perfectly glam, more holiday kind of vibe, it would be BH Cosmetics Love in London. That's just the way it went. I did want to pair this with a red lip, but I've had a bit of a cold sore this past week, so I wasn't able to put the red lip on for you when I filmed that look, but I did sort of hold the lipstick really close to my lips so you can kind of get the idea. But yeah, this is one of my favorite palettes for like a cool toned look. Prestige is a really good taupey shade. I love that shade in the crease. I think I blended it out with this, and then I used the gray and the navy. The navy is what I pop on the lower lash line for sure. Sometimes I like to change it up and put in the purple, but I went with my 2 favorite shades in the palette for sure. So yeah, this was really, really successful. I think a really nice palette. If you still have this lying about, definitely give it a use this holiday season. I think it's perfect for that. And yeah, there were just no duds here. I was really expecting some of these to not be something I still loved, especially the first 2 actually. Like because the repressing went a little bit wrong with this one, I didn't expect to like it as much as I do now, but apparently I can just create a color story out of very random shades and it works for me. And the En Taupe by Zoeva, I thought, well, by now I definitely have different makeup preferences, and my makeup skills have improved, so I don't feel I need something this light to make it work for me, which is why I love this palette initially. Was, you know, I just wasn't that skilled at makeup, and this is just one that if it suits your undertone, you can't mess it up. You just can't mess it up. So I love this palette for that, but now that I've used it again and how pretty that look came out, I'm so, so happy. So those were the 5 eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to go back to in November. I think it was very successful. I mean, I'm surprised. So far, I haven't come across any palettes yet that I was like, do I really need to get rid of this? I think though, that when I'm coming nearer to like my declutter series, that I do want to make sure I put some palettes in here that I feel very sort of on the fence about. So I can also start using this series as a way to determine, is this something I want to keep around in my collection, yes or no? And before I let you go, I need to say one more thing. I have a new link in the description box down below. It's called Shop My Favorites, and over on the blog, it's called Shop My Shelf. If you click that link, you will be taken to an affiliate link page. I've teamed up with a company called Shop My Shelf, and they specialize in having not just a bunch of links in the description box, but sort of having you group everything on one place. So it's almost like my own little curated storefront, you could say. And if you were to shop through any of the links that are listed on that page, I could make a bit of a commission there. So if you were looking for any sort of gifts or, you know, your Christmas shopping or anything like that, then maybe you can go through there. I would greatly appreciate it. Please don't feel obliged to do so. The link is going to be there all the time. I've already set up a couple of shelves so you can have a browse. I've put in my favorite cool tone palettes, favorite red lipsticks, favorite skincare products. Like, there's a couple of things you can have a look at for sure. But if there's anything missing and you would like me to add anything there, then that's something I might be able to do. But I didn't want to fill up my entire description box with just links all the time, and that's how a lot of affiliate programs actually work. And what is also something that a lot of affiliate links usually do is that they take you to just one location. But what's quite unique about Shop My Shelf is that if I'm able to, I'm not able to do this for every single product, but for some products, I'm able to put in links from multiple countries. So if you're in the US, you will get a different website than when you're in Germany. And I think that that's really helpful because so many different people watch my videos. So I wanted to make sure that I could do this and make it work for as many people as possible. If I was gonna do affiliate links, for sure. So that's why I decided to do it this way. Also know that not all of the links are affiliate, because some of the things I've listed aren't part of affiliate programs. Lisa Eldridge doesn't have one, yet a lot of my favorite lipsticks are by her. So I did list those. And of course, since it's link based, I can only list products that are still available, but many of my favorites are no longer around. So you do need to take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But yeah, I just thought it would be helpful to have everything in one place, like a little curated storefront with all of my favorite products, so that if you want to shop my favorites, then you can. So please have a look at the description box down below, click the link and shop through it if you want to. If not, you don't have to. I won't get mad at you if you don't do it. But yeah, just know that it's going to be there from now on. So without further ado, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Please thumbs up the video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye!